The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences only, so don't tell your parents! Listener discretion is advised.
They were like, hey, you can't come in here, no intruders. And she was like, lesbian kick. And then she kicked the bell.
Lesbian kick.
She did it.
She did it. She did the thing.
It's the most powerful kind of kick.
It's full of years of oppression.
I mean, there's no better way to strengthen your core than from being oppressed.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. My name is JD, and I'm joined by these two knuckleheads, Kyle.
Yo.
And Matt.
Hello.
And this week we are talking about the second in, I guess, the four-part Adventure Time in Distant Lands series. This one's about Princess Bubblegum and Marceline being, besties.
It's called Obsidian.
It is called Obsidian.
Now, JD, because you weren't around when we did the recording for
the first one?
Yeah,
right.
So did you end up watching that one?
I did.
What'd you think about it? I guess that's fair.
It was. I don't know. It was just very. This is more Adventure Time weirdness, and then it's like, oh, secret prequel. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, that was the thing about it, because I'm pretty sure I mentioned it on that episode, but I hadn't watched, or I fell off of watching Adventure Time after a certain point, so I wasn't familiar with anything that happened past that point. And because the BMO special was a prequel, it didn't really require a viewing of Adventure Time beforehand.
Yeah, this
special is definitely like following the events of the finale, I guess. So I was a little bit lost on some certain aspects of this, because since then I still haven't gone around to watching the rest of Adventure Time. This special definitely made me want to revisit the show more than the BMO special did, I felt.
Yeah, so I also fell off watching Adventure Time a while back. I don't remember exactly when. But Melanie and I did go back and watch the last couple of episodes when the show was starting to wrap up. And we did watch the finale. And at the end of the last episode, they did kind of a little flash forward, little snippets, what the characters are going to be doing in the immediate future. And one of them was Marceline and Bubblegum living together. So it was kind of interesting that okay, this special in the series is going to be about, what their relationship is, what form it's taken since then, and what they're up to. So in that respect, I was kind of interested, more interested in this one than I was of the last episode. And yeah, it's pretty much when this special starts off, it's just, the two of them, they're living together, they're in a relationship, and just having a very normal
time.
Wasn't gonna go there, but
he did it.
They're just having
I know that's what you're thinking, JD.
It wasn't. I don't know. It's they're just together. They're living a normal life. Just building furniture. Marceline's still making music. Bubblegum still does what she does, and
does her science shit,
man. And they're just living their lives.
I thought that was interesting that Bubblegum went to go live with Marceline instead of, well, I guess that it kind of makes more sense than Marceline moving into the castle, because she seems like more of a solitary person. So
yeah, I'd have to go back. I feel like I remember something at the end of the last episode, someone else was put in charge of the Candy Kingdom and Bubblegum stepped down or something. I don't remember, honestly. It's been so long.
Right.
But yeah, it does make more sense that Bubblegum would just move in with Marceline. They just kind of have their little house and have their little domestic life. That was the word I was thinking of earlier. But all that's kind of thrown into chaos when, I guess, it delves a little bit into their backstory and their past relationship, because it in the show itself, it was shown that Marceline and Bubblegum were together at one point in the past, but something broke them up. And this, you finally get to see what broke them up in the first place, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I
finally
thought
get that story.
Yeah, I thought I had recalled an episode of Adventure Time where Marceline, it kind of had a certain similarity in that I think there was like a door they had to unlock. Yeah, and I remember the song being about bubblegum. I thought I remembered that right.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of tension between the two of them during that episode, and like the kind of just like it very much implied that like they had been together at one point, and then there was like the whole band T-shirt that of the Marceline gave to Bubblegum back in the day, and even in the special you see how they got that T-shirt in the first place.
Basically, all the implications that they could make that they were in a relationship without outright saying it, because of course, early 2000s Cartoon Network wasn't as concerned with sort of like representation as they are now. Which is why they're able to kind of actually, in this special, they actually do show them talking very specifically about, like, romantically, them being in a relationship and actually showing them kissing and everything else.
Yeah, and I mean, it also helps this is on HBO Max and not on proper Cartoon Network, so...
I do wonder how much of that, because, I mean, Steven Universe is able to get away with a lot of that stuff, too. Although at the cost of the show ending, I guess.
Well, Steven Universe... it ended... It got... Sorry, Kyle, what?
Said that and not being aired in other parts of the world.
Yeah, that was kind of definitely a blow, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, what the big inciting incident for this special is that apparently back in the day in the Glass Kingdom, full of, people made of glass, there was a big fire dragon salamander thing that was laying waste to their kingdom. And Bubblegum and Marceline go to stop it and imprison it inside a mountain. But they were already having some issues going into this, and just between fighting this giant salamander thing, it really kind of pushes them to their breaking points, and it kind of causes them to break up. Things, it all worked out in the end.
Yeah. There was something I definitely wanted to bring up about the glass people.
Sure.
In my notes, I had written down that the character was called Glass Princess, but apparently it's See-Through Princess.
Yeah.
Which it's the Glass Kingdom, though, right? It's not the See-Through Kingdom.
Well,
I don't think.
Well, no, because I had seen through.
You'd seen through?
No, sorry. I hadn't heard them say her name. I don't know if they did or not.
It's the first thing they say.
Well, I just wasn't paying attention then. But Glass Boy calls her STP.
Like Stone Temple Pilots.
Well, I when he said that, I was like, did I just misheard it? And it was like SGP, like Stained Glass Princess. Maybe that was her name. But then they say See-Through Princess later, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of a dumb name, but whatever.
Yeah, I just thought
it's also weird that she's Australian.
Oh, that's not necessarily weird.
No one else is. She just is.
All the characters in this show have like weird ass, like
it's true. I don't know. It's just when she had her very thick Australian accent, it threw me off a bit.
I like how any criticism brought up can be like, it's just a weird thing. It's just
it's just a cartoon. It's just a fantasy land.
It's a thing made for children.
I hate it. No, they say her name. They say her name at the very beginning of the fucking little play that they do, and even I was like, what? Like, I didn't fucking catch it, and then I didn't care. So I didn't care until the very end.
Yeah, because she pops up like here and there, but of course this is mostly focused around Bubblegum and Marceline, but then we do get a bunch of stuff with Glass Boy too, which that was the other thing I want to bring up too, is that Glass Boy is voiced by Michaela Dietz, who I love.
It's just Amethyst.
It's just Amethyst, which is
it's Amethyst a little higher pitched.
Yeah, which I mean,
she still has the rasp in her voice.
No, that's I love that about Michaela Dietz's voice. Like, I love her performance as Amethyst. So it was nice to hear something post Steven Universe. The other thing too was that and this is of course obviously we talked about the special a little bit already, but there's spoilers. But there are flashbacks to Marceline's past, and so we do get to see some stuff with her like and her mom and stuff. So I can't remember if I actually did watch the episode, but I know that her mom showed up in the actual show, and she was voiced by Rebecca Sugar,
Yeah,
who was
they
the
didn't
creator
get
of
her.
Steve Universe. And yeah, she's not back in the special, but they have Erica Luttrell who voices Sapphire on Steve Universe. So yeah, I'm wondering how that went. If maybe Rebecca like recommended her as a replacement or something, or like I'm
Yeah.
imagining, but I was imagining by the time that this special is being made, Rebecca was probably busy with the movie or future or something.
Oh
So
yeah, for sure.
yeah, but I thought like it was yeah, because I could definitely tell. Like I was listening to her performance, I was like, "Is that Rebecca?" Like it didn't quite sound like her, but I couldn't tell because
Yeah,
her mom's like
yeah,
in the special, so she sounds kind of like weak and stuff. So
yeah. I definitely it didn't sound like Rebecca when I was listening to it, so I had to like go look it up afterward.
well, I think the other part of that too was that I know that in the episode that she's in the original show, h- Marceline's mom like does a song and stuff, and so I know obviously Rebecca did like a bunch of music back when she was working on that show. So I don't
Mhm.
think that Rebecca does any of the music because yeah, there's a bunch of songs in the special too, obviously because
Of
Marceline's
course,
the central character.
right?
I know. I think they have a callback to a song that she wrote for the series proper, but I think all the other credits I saw for the music didn't mention her. So and that was the thing that I was a little disappointed about because when I had heard about the special, and it was way after Steven Universe stuff. Like I thought, yeah, okay, given the time frame, she was probably still working on like the end of Steven Universe stuff. But I was
Mhm.
kind of hoping it would be fun to have her back on for this special specifically because I know how much how kind of integral she was to Marceline and Bubblegum on the show proper.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I mean, I think the special is pretty good without her anyway. But I feel like to kind of drive home that kind of it would have been nice to see her return to those characters, especially because this is kind of if we're just assuming this is like one-off specials, then
yeah.
presumably the last time we'll see him.
Yeah. So I mean, I honestly, I think on the whole, I like this. I do like this special. I thought it was really well done, and I did like. Not only do we get to see Marceline and Bubblegum's relationship as it is in current time, but kind of fills in that backstory of why they split up in the first place, like some of their relationship, their prior relationship, and I feel like this kind of backstory is way more relevant and impactful to me, at least, than anything that happened in the BMO special. Like, I felt like I got enough of what BMO's deal was from the show. Like, he was made in a factory by some crazy guy, and there's a bunch of other kind of BMO-esque robots out there, and she ends up with Finn and Jake at some point in time. So I didn't need any more backstory on BMO, but with Marceline and Bubblegum, there were bits and pieces hinted at during the show, but I like them delving a little more into their relationship. So at least for me, I think that's what I got out of this special. I felt like the whole Glass Kingdom stuff was interesting, but not like, I don't know if that's really the direction, whatever. I do think the whole resolution with what the fuck, Larvo, the giant fire salamander, I thought was stupid, but
Yeah, but it played out in pretty much like the way that you'd expect from an Adventure Time like
look,
monster.
we already said spoilers. I'm just gonna say, I thought like
Kyle
that-
likened it to a Digimon evolution.
look, like I like the direction they were going at first, where like Larvo is basically, it's real that Larvo is just a misunderstood monster. It had been hurt in the past, but through this song, its heart is healed. And like if it had just been that, and Larvo's just stops being an asshole, That'd be great. But no, Larvo like just kind of like bursts out of his own chest and turns into a weird cat butterfly, which spawns other tinier cat butterflies from his weird shadow monster he summoned earlier. And I'm like, okay, if you would have just stopped like a minute before this happened and just like Larvo, he's just not like his heart is healed and he's gonna be a good dude now, I'd be fine with that. That would have been great. But it just seemed like so out of nowhere that like I don't get the cat butterfly, and it's so like wonky looking too. It just seems like a fart.
It seemed like a very Adventure Time thing.
It does feel like a very Adventure Time thing to happen, but that's like a very early Adventure Time thing to happen, not a like modern day Adventure Time thing to happen.
I guess I'm not a good judge of that, since I obviously there's still a bunch of Adventure Time. Although right around when I dropped off, it seemed to be sort of skewing into a more mature-ish direction.
Adventure Time got real philosophical real quick.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like it's like watching anything from the MCU where you can have like all this drama and resolution, but they've got to undercut it with like a joke. Like,
yeah, because we have to make this appeal to kids somehow.
You got to have that last little clown honk in there before. It's like, no, it's not that heavy. Get it? Like look, it's something funny.
Right.
Which is, whatever. It's whatever. Honestly, Kyle definitely was correct. Like, Adventure Time can kind of just get away with it being like, oh no, it's abstract. It's supposed to not make sense. Like, they could just do that and be like, yep, that's Adventure Time. Like,
I just feel that that's such a shitty way to do things, though. Because I always bring it up that all this stuff was never planned in the original like pitch Bible or whatever.
Yeah, they're fucking riding by the seat of their pants for the fucking whole show.
Well, I mean, I was watching a video earlier today. It was just some stupid like fan theories that ended up being correct or whatever. And one of them was Adventure Time. And it's like the whole like Mushroom War was a fan theory that Penn Ward just thought was cool. And like, all right, I'm going to make that canon now. Like he never planned it to be an actual thing. So yeah, a lot of Adventure Time was just kind of made up as they went along.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about it. But like I said, you can just go, oh, and then this happens, but it's silly, and it can happen because this is Adventure Time. It just seems like a really shitty way of writing. Like, you don't have to plan for anything. You could just be like, oh yeah, and then a giant foot comes and saves the day, and then nobody will fucking question it because it's Adventure Time.
When back in the like first season or two, when Adventure Time was a little more silly and a little more nonsensical, I feel like they could get away with it. But once Adventure Time started morphing into this like more mature show, I feel like they get away with it less and less because of the tone it was going for.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said earlier, with got this giant monster that was like, it began life as a pollywog and then it kind of turns into a fire newt, and you're like, all right, I can see that. And then it shows that it's got a crack on its head just like everybody else, and it's wearing its trauma. And you're like, okay, cool. So you can see that it actually has a soul and it's not like a mindless monster. And then then it turns into a cat butterfly monster.
Yeah, like I said, it just like it's a step too far.
It's just fucking retarded.
Yeah.
But hey, that's Adventure Time.
Well, Kyle, since I think it's safe to say, out of the three of us, you like this the least. Aside from the cat butterfly, what issues did you have with this?
I just didn't like it because I don't know if it's just Marceline and Bubblegum or whatever. I just really don't like the whole fucking oh, I have baggage. This is my issues. It just feels like the more you go on with the character, you can create even more past drama and say, hey, look, she's even more fucked up than you knew she was. Like, is that not fair to say? Where you can just create more shit to go like, look, she's even deeper as a character. I don't...
Well, in the same respect that we're talking about, where obviously that they were creating a bunch of this stuff, like obviously, Pen War didn't have any of the stuff that kind of got revealed about any of these characters later on, like in the original pitch Bible for Adventure Time or anything like that. It all came much later. So in that certain respect, they can just keep on adding on and keep on inserting events that are unheard history of the characters and stuff. And I think some people are a bit more receptive to that than others. I'm sure a lot of people appreciate the kind of the scenarios that they create for these characters, even if they are like just sort of like thrown in there, and not to say not without much thought. It's just that it's definitely and not necessarily that it goes against kind of the style of the show, because of course when it became later it kind of does fit in. But I get what you're saying, just as far as like it's definitely, you don't see many other shows out there operating on the same sort of wavelength, I guess, like of them just sort of
It's like, that's the thing is, you have people that are working on their own pitches, their own shows, this kind of stuff. They have to have so much fucking prepared, so much to show off, that kind of stuff. And then I would say about a good 80%, if not 95% of Adventure Time is just like almost fan fiction at that point, where it's writers on the show doing like their own twists and shit on characters, where it makes it seem like whatever was originally planned, whatever was worked on, that was hard work, doesn't fucking matter because someone else can make their own twist on it. That's kind of my beef with that whole shit. But I didn't really like story-wise this whole thing, because it, like I said earlier, it just seems really ham-fisted as far as the fucking, you're gonna show Marceline has this really hard past and she has a bunch of trauma and baggage, and then you have glass people that have cracks on them and they show that they have trauma and all this stuff. And not only that, but also the monster, he's got a giant crack on him and he shows his past trauma. I don't like it.
Well, I think at least the way I interpreted it is that the whole, I guess moral is the only way I can put it, is that everyone has some kind of damage, whether it's physical or emotional, and that these characters...
I'm sorry. You said damage, and I thought of like Glass Boy, like not having the crack, but he has like just a tattoo that says damaged on his forehead, like Jared Leto's Joker.
There you go.
But what I'm saying is that these characters have some kind of damage or baggage or something, and they need to, and a lot of them, with like the glass people that are cracked, or Marceline with her past, is that they need to accept that and learn to live with it and learn from it. So in terms of, the glass people, they kind of come to terms like, oh, we're all cracked, we all have our flaws, but everybody is like that. So, that
it's so shitty though, because they made fun of him his whole entire life for having a crack. And then it's like, oh yeah, we're all the same. We're just a bunch of dicks.
Well, I think it, and like I said, I think it's trying to say that people need to come to terms with it, because it's clearly that all of these other people who are cracked, but they're covering it up, are in denial. But there's this one character who is openly flaunting his crack, even though he's trying to get it fixed. He's not covering it up like everybody else. So therefore, everyone else can be in denial and like throw their insecurities on him.
The whole point of the episode was to find a way to heal these people of their cracks, which released the fucking dragon, which started the entire fucking episode, and then they just go, oh yeah, never mind, it doesn't fucking matter. We can just flaunt our damage. So, in reality, they didn't have to release the dragon because it wouldn't have fucking mattered anyways, but since we need an episode, we gotta do that.
Well, I think it's very much about people learning to accept their flaws rather than being in denial about them. Because these glass people are like, they're thinking that these cracks make them lesser people, but once their leader is literally cracked in half,
That was a bit that got a good laugh out of me, though. She put herself back together, and one of the guys off the side is just like, she's got pants now.
But I think it's like showing that their leader is accepting of this. Like, it doesn't matter if we're cracked, and it doesn't matter if Glass Boy is cracked. We all have our flaws, and that's what kind of leads all the Glass people to realize, like, oh, maybe we don't need to be fixed. Maybe there's nothing wrong with us to begin with.
But
in the same sense, I think Marceline kind of coming to terms with, her emotional insecurity, that is like stayed with her since her time with her mom, and it's has affected her past relationship, is affecting her current relationship. It's her coming to terms with that and like learning that, like, okay, this is something I need to deal with. Clearly this relationship is worth, maintaining. It's her learning about having to live with the trauma rather than trying to use it as a crutch or like trying to run away from it.
It's like, I can understand metaphorically, but when you have it in the way that they presented it, having a piece of glass that is broken, it's not as strong as before, so it's even more fragile. It's just all this kind of shit. You putting a face to, this metaphor, it doesn't work in that sense. If that makes any sense to you guys.
I mean, I get
what you're talking.
It's showing people are fragile and easily broken, and all this kind of shit. And you have this magical way of fixing somebody. And I'm sure if you're like, hey, I got a way to fix depression, like I have a way to get rid of depression, and people are like, yeah, you know what? I can just live with it. It's fucking stupid to me. That's what I'm saying.
I get where you're coming from. Just it's not. I didn't personally take it that way, but obviously, there's multiple ways you can take this.
Yeah,
Matt.
I don't know. Like through the special, I kind of thought that they were because of all like the cracks and everything. I thought they were going to probably deal. Have you guys ever heard of the prawns? I actually don't know exactly how it's pronounced. It's called like kintsugi, I think. Where
the Japanese thing where they paint gold in the cracks and put it back together.
Yeah, I kind of thought that they were gonna go like somewhere in that direction about like kind of repairing flaws and that sort of thing, but yeah, they didn't. So
did Glass Boy murder his friends and colleagues at the end? Even though that was a joke, did he murder them straight out?
Well, it was a joke.
Or are they even more valuable because they're even more damaged than they were before?
That's a good question. I wonder if the whole dynamic of this kingdom is now put on its head, where now everyone's going to be more damaged in order to become more valuable.
We need another special to learn what happened to the glass people.
No, you know what it actually reminds me of is fucking. There was an old episode of Fairly Odd Parents where Timmy wishes that they were like everyone looked exactly the same and all that stuff. And so his neighbors were like, oh, but you look exactly like us. Was like, yeah, but we're the grayest and the blobbiest. So like
they still found a way to be racist.
Yeah. So like in that same respect, I could see those three dicks of like glass people just being like, oh well, we have the most cracks, so now we're the most valuable of society, of the society of the kingdom or whatever.
So does that mean once they do that, everybody starts self-harming each other and like they want to have cracks?
I don't even want to get into that.
I kind of hope that isn't the direction that they would go in. I mean, in universe, not necessarily. Obviously, they wouldn't do that for the show proper. But I don't know. I feel like that's one of those ideas that you might see in something else, though. Like that seems like definitely a commentary to be made in some respect.
God.
Like I mentioned at the start, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than the BMO special, just simply based on the fact that the BMO thing took place basically outside of most continuity with the show because it doesn't really have that much of a connection. So seeing Marceline and Bubblegum and like the connection that it has to the rest of the show proper was nice, and actually made me want to actively go and try to like rewatch or actually watch through the show proper, like completely this time. Especially, there's 2 other specials still on the horizon. We got that Peppermint Butler one, and then we got the last one with Finn and Jake. So I definitely at least want to watch to the show before that one.
Yeah.
Just even for context sake, because like I said, there were some aspects on this one that I was just a little bit like, oh, hey, this is like this now, blah blah blah. Like I didn't know the Ice King wasn't Ice King anymore. He got turned back to a human. Or
at the end of the show, they like somewhere towards the end of the show they get him fixed.
Yeah, so that's like that type of stuff that I was kind of surprised by.
I will say that I'm not like I've never really cared about Peppermint Butler being a character, so like having a whole special based around him, I'm not as interested in. But we do get a like very quick glimpse at what Finn is like in this day and age. He's more of an adult. He's grown a beard. Still missing that arm. It's weird. He has a weird Jake chest tattoo, and it makes me wonder if Jake is dead.
Yeah, but the thing is, we didn't even know exactly when on the timeline that these other 2 specials are going to take, because now with the BMO one having been a prequel and then this one taking place after the series, either of these 2 upcoming specials could take place within the show or something. We just don't know. So it'll be interesting to see like in what direction to go with these. In that, I definitely agree. I'm not as excited for the Peppermint Butler one, but I could still be surprised by it. I'm definitely looking forward to the last one, because I feel like there had to have been a reason for them to want to do like these 4 specials, and the Finn and Jake one, obviously, with them being the main characters. I feel like that one would hopefully be the strongest one of the 4.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that like it ends on a good note.
Especially because from what I've heard, or actually, I think from you guys said that you weren't really that satisfied with the series finale. So hopefully, it does provide some sort of better.
Yeah, the series finale was just kind of okay. I think we did a review on it when it came out. I don't remember. But yeah, I am interested in the Finn and Jake one. I don't know when they're supposed to come out.
They're definitely
sometime.
When they made the original announcement about the specials, they said that 2 were supposed to be coming out this year and then 2 were next year. With the virus around, I'm not sure if that kind of factored in production or if they already had them complete or anything. But yeah, I'm sure we'll hear more about them in the coming year.
I'm guessing Peppermint Butler's probably going to be spring, early summer, like the BMO one, and we'll probably get Finn and Jake this time next year.
I can see that.
But we'll see. But yeah, I think the special, at least for me personally, I enjoyed it. I liked the backstory and further exploration of Marceline and Bubblegum. It satisfied the questions that I had about their passion. I just thought it was interesting seeing what they're up to now. So at least for me, I enjoyed this, especially way more than the BMO one, which I felt was kind of like a big non sequitur. Had no real impact on the story overall, but I think if anyone's an Adventure Time fan, I think they're gonna really enjoy this if they haven't already watched it. I definitely think that does require having some knowledge of the show for context.
Yeah, it's not like the BMO thing where you could just watch that on its own.
Right.
It would be completely fine.
I don't know why anybody would not watch the entire series and then just watch this one special.
I think it's just mostly parents that would watch this out of context because like, oh, what's this thing? I gotta watch it with my kid. But I don't know how many parents listen to this show.
That's a good question. Hey,
I don't know.
Out there,
I really don't know what our demographics are.
I think we all know the answer to that question.
None.
There you go.
No demographic because
none parents.
None parents with left beef.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, there you go. There's our thoughts on the latest Adventure Time special. Let us know.
I give this special a 3 out of 5 likes. Or a 3 out of 5 yikes.
Oh, he said it.
Well, there's Kyle's score. Well, let us know what you guys think about it. on our various pages, our Facebook, our Twitter, our YouTube, our Discord. All the links for those are in our show notes. And be sure to check us out on pretty much any streaming service if you'd like to take us on the go. But that will do it for this week. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you again next week with another episode of something. Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Nice sign off, JD. Good night.
Thanks for listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the show. Join our Discord to chat with us. Links are in the description. We'll see you next time.